Welcome one and all. I'm Hunter, and as I promised, and finally get the chance to do it before I get into the video, I'm gonna read the comments from the last video, which is by Ace Hardy. He says, "Keep it up." To be honest, I'm quite surprised that I was expecting, like, I do not know, a bad comment at first, for those short videos especially, but thank you very much, Ace Hardy. I'm just, I can't explain how happy it makes me in the first place that I received a comment. So, and the fact that it's positive is just further boosting me in confidence, let's say. And this is right in the topic as self motivation. And as also I'm gonna mention later on, it was something that I actually needed. So I do not know. I should thank him like 1,000 times because this was the right thing at the right time. But back on track now. Today, as I said before, self motivation is the thing that I want to look at. How I deal with it personally. Because to be honest with you, this is like more of a about me video, but going through some tough times, but not necessarily because I have a social problem or like got rejected or that type of thing. No, it's more of a, which is not necessarily the greatest out of dilemmas in my opinion, but it comes towards the educational stuff, like the university, the homeworks, the exams that are upcoming, and the fact that I'm now looking even more as, hey, is this the exact thing that I want to do when I'm out of here? And see, throughout all these thoughts, and on the other hand, you have to keep up with the studies and stuff, you might find yourself in a loop where you're just doing the tasks that are given to you but are not motivated to do something different or something more for the courses that you have. And of course, there are these times that people go through tough situations, and usually my thing to get through these is I have this belief, let's say, that if something is going bad right now, like the worse it is at the moment, the better it will be in the future. I feel like there's constantly a trade between maybe something like karma, you could say, but not necessarily karma. And that's why whenever like I feel completely done with something or completely without hope, left out and stuff, I just think back to like all the times that something was bad and I just lived through it and something great happened to me. And I was actually out of an example, but this thing just Ace Hardy with his comment just jumped right into the situation and just changed everything for me. I was also a little pressed on, especially yesterday, because I have some exams next week, and I've been doing a lot of side things besides studying because I feel like I need to explore myself more. You see, there are a lot of problems with modern educational systems in some of the countries regarding the fact that you are always just doing what is given to you, and most of the time you don't even know what the profession is gonna be like because all you learn is these formulas or memorize some dates, historical names, and stuff like that, and you end up in this place where you're like, okay, I was having fun doing physics, for instance, but jobs regarding physics do not necessarily like look the same, so to say, or just feel the same for you as just solving a physics problem in high school. So, yeah, it's just going through a lot of job related thoughts in my head, and on the other hand, as I said, YouTube channel is what keeps me motivated in terms of I just enjoy making these, editing them, drawing the thumbnails, whatnot. And basically, without this, I would have been even worse. But at this point, I feel so pressed on that I hardly find any time for the channel itself. And I don't want to like keep the channel up because like, oh, I want to become famous or become rich. No, these are never the goals that I went for while starting this. I just needed it. It's a dire need in me that I want to talk about some stuff. I want to express myself in a different way, in a weird way. In a platform where I can do that freely is YouTube, and just as I approach these, and I'm already in actually the period where I have to study a lot. I feel like if I cut it out now, if I give it a small break for the studies, it's gonna be very tough for me. So apart from the fact that hey, I say these are the bad times and they will pass on, always remember also one thing that I keep saying to myself, well, if things are currently bad, maybe I'm not looking at the right thing or from the right perspective. You see, it's rare that everything goes bad at the same time, which it does. And when it does that, I tell myself that it's gonna be better because now it's super bad, which means that it's gonna be equally good later. But when some of the things are bad, just try to focus your emotional self and like in the free time yourself to the things that are going good. Think about them, focus on them. That's what I do always. If for instance there is this one class that I'm kind of going to like have a hard time in, and I feel like I might even fail, for instance, it's very hard and so on, I would think of the other classes, for instance, that I'm actually keeping up with. While that doesn't mean ignoring the thing, I'll just say, hey, I did all of these things, and the fact that this one is wrong currently is fine. Stuff like that happens. You don't have to understand everything right away. And I say to myself, I'll just fix that just like I did the other ones. And the important thing when it comes to motivation itself is that here, that's what I say, like, it's about me, how I motivate myself. It doesn't mean that it will apply for you too. There are a lot of these like suggestions and stuff for motivation, and don't lose hope if you tried them all and they didn't work. For instance, some other thing that motivates me is just literally going out in the park when the weather is somewhat nice and just sitting there looking around at the trees, at the flowers, without talking to anyone, just by myself. That also motivates me. It's like not a motivational thing if you ask someone else, maybe. It's not the thing that people will give you a hint for. Hey, your mood is down, you're not motivated, isolate yourself from the people, go to the park and just look around like a freak. That is definitely like a personal thing. What you should do is try things out in terms of when you have free time, think of what would you want to do right now. Just free your mind. Don't be like, hey, maybe doing this would be very strange, or I'll just isolate myself from people. That doesn't make any sense. Don't put sense into this. Just do what you feel like. And besides, finding something that will help you out, like all the times that you do it, and doing it every day to keep yourself up is just a huge relief. And as the title suggests, and I kind of mix things up, it's not just the way I motivate, but a little more about me. And what is about me is the fact that, as I mentioned, things are getting tougher. And this channel, this hobby that I have, I feel like it was keeping me up for a long time. And while it still does that, the negative side is a little overwhelming right now. But still, this means that if I, like, the dilemma in me is if I stop doing it for the sake of studying more, I will just lose my mind completely. It will be even worse than what it is right now, like from a mental health standpoint, let's say. And I do not know. I feel like this is my own therapy session with my psychiatrist being like the camera, And sorry for the bad pronunciation. I just literally woke up and I was like, okay, I have these in my mind. And the comment I saw it before I went to bed, I was like, oh yes. And that's the only reason I kind of was able to sleep in a good mood. I was like, no, it's time to get these things out of my head. And yeah, with all the shift that you might have seen on my channel, for the fact that I'm jumping to short videos right now, a lot more is just I snap, let's say, and I have these 50 ideas in one day, and I start recording. I mean, I do not know at this point to what this leads, this whole bad mood that I am in. I hope it's just related to the exams and nothing else. That's the problem when you like having a bad day and you don't know why specifically. This is a red flag. And if you're living that type of situation, you should like start thinking of overall things. And that's what I'm gonna be doing, for instance. Just look at the overall picture and try to find the small negative things that you have, because those small things just get together and create this down mood, which drags you down further. So yeah, I hope I'll see some more comments so that I can read them in the start of the video. And don't forget guys, even if things are going bad, that doesn't mean that they will always stay bad. And the same just applies for everything that goes wrong. Heck, even love. If your crush or whatnot said no, or just went for the other guy, maybe you'll find someone who's much better. Maybe in reality, like what you thought dating them would be versus what dating them is, like a huge difference between these two, which is actually the case, for instance, for the heartbroken fellas out there. I would like to say that, trust me, like knowing someone as a friend and just being happy with them versus dating them is a whole different story. It doesn't mean that it will go as smooth as your friendship or as bad as your friendship, let's say, for the reverse of it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's always a good end to it, in my opinion. And I believe that if you just give it enough time and focus on yourself in the meanwhile, instead of dragging yourself down because of others' opinions or the way people think in general, you should just say, hey, that's what I want to be that, and you'll be happy eventually. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in another one.